voice and told of the silent spring, of a time when birds no longer sing. Restore the Chesapeake for me and you, and all the Orioles will come home too. Maryland, my Maryland, I'm coming back again. From the western mountains to the ocean city shore, Rockville to Baltimore. Maryland, my Maryland. The artist's dream, the writer's words will flow. We come back to the grave of Edgar Allan Poe. A gardenia in the hair of Billie Holiday tells the promise of Maryland today. Maryland, my Maryland, I'm coming back again. From the western mountains to the ocean city shore, Rockville to Baltimore. Maryland, my Maryland. Whether Canesville, Easton, or Monocacy, we find the courage to make democracy. Send Frederick Douglass's message to all the land. If you want progress, come and make your demand. Maryland, my Maryland, I'm coming back again. From the western mountains to the ocean city shore, Rockville to Baltimore. Maryland, my Maryland. Oh, say, can you see Elijah Cummings now? Never took his hand from the freedom plow. And Justice Thurgood Marshall brought down Jim Crow. So let the waters of righteousness flow. Maryland, our Maryland, we're coming back again. From the western mountains to the ocean city shore, Rockville to Baltimore. Maryland, my Maryland.
Ladies and gentlemen, I do hope you enjoyed that new rendition. That was our unofficial state song for Maryland. Why is it unofficial? Because it was written by our very own Congressman Jamie Raskin. Right, let's hear it. Come on. That was Maryland, my Maryland. You can find it on YouTube. After you listen to it and listen carefully to the words, you are to pick up the phone and, while you're emailing them, your delegates and your senators in the legislature, and tell them you want the current official song to change and go right over to Jamie Raskin, Steve Jones, and that was sung by the way, I hope I pronounced her name right, London Meva, and that you want those words, which are more appropriate and reflect Maryland today, to be the official state song. So let's hear it for our new official Maryland song. Okay, so for those of you who weren't here this morning, Barbara Goldberg-Goldman, and on behalf of our entire board, and if you would just stand up real quick and sit down so everybody can see you, and my co-chair, Ralph Bennett, and Eva Lewis, our incredible executive director. 3 cheers for you. You deserve all the accolades you can get. We do hope that some realistic and tangible solutions to the affordable housing crisis were identified and suggested, and we hope that you gained a lot out of the panels and that you engaged with all of the panelists and came up with some real good ideas. We all hold firm to the belief that it is not a public expense to provide affordable housing. On the contrary, it is a public investment in our community's future. This is our mission, to ensure that affordable housing is valued by all as an investment in our communities and not an obligation. We are a nonprofit organization committed to creating, fostering, and maintaining awareness of all issues about affordable housing. We have forums, advocacy work, and special events. We encourage and create venues for discussing, debating, identifying solutions to, and encouraging advocacy for affordable housing in our community and throughout Maryland. And as we mentioned this morning, just when we think we have finally gotten a semblance of control of this crisis, we realize we have so much more to do. I alluded to it this morning. We climb a mountain, we get there, we think we're at the summit, like today, and then another summit appears right before us, and we have to climb it. The afternoon speakers and awardees will inspire and encourage us to attain our goal of ensuring decent, safe, and affordable housing is a right and not a privilege. It is a privilege and an honor to host our leaders who adhere to that belief and mission. So let's get started. I'm calling up to the stage our own Maryland Secretary of Housing, Jake Day, who is going to introduce to you today our keynote speaker, no stranger to the Affordable Housing Conference, and a very close friend of all of us. We are ecstatic that she is here today.
Well, good afternoon. Hope everyone enjoyed lunch. Look, I am so proud to share a room and a table with many of you and with all of you and with many leaders in this room, some of whom we've gotten to hear from over the last few hours. But we've been joined now, and I am really grateful to have the opportunity to note. We've been joined now by someone who has demonstrated courage, not just on addressing housing affordability, but courage in the face of many of our nation's greatest challenges. And of course, I'm referring to Congressman Jamie Raskin. Congressman, thank you for being here today. It will undoubtedly take all levels of government working on this crisis. It takes, yes, our local partners, our state partners, and our federal partners. And we're lucky to have bold leaders in positions to do something about the challenges we're facing. Like Montgomery County, the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development is a recipient of federal resources, particularly those provided by our friends at the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. Our agency awards HUD's community development block grants, funding to Maryland's non-entitlement jurisdictions, supporting critical projects and services for thousands of Marylanders. We manage HUD's Housing Choice Voucher Program for 12 counties in Maryland. And through initiatives like the Rental Assistance Demonstration Project program, we're working together to transform and modernize the state's public housing stock. HUD has always been a valued partner, and as President Biden's ambitious plan to build 200 million homes shows, HUD has a shared commitment to making housing more affordable, more accessible, and more equitable. And it's my privilege to introduce the leader charged with meeting this challenge. She was recently appointed as the Acting Secretary of the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development after serving as Deputy Secretary of HUD since June 2021. She's executed both policy and operational priorities, including providing guidance on department-wide initiatives to increase housing supply, improving disaster response and recovery efforts, steering climate and resiliency endeavors, improving agency hiring and workforce engagement, and enhancing customer access to HUD's incredible programs. Prior to joining HUD, she served as the CEO of the National Association of Housing and Redevelopment Officials. And before leading NARO, she was executive director of our neighbors, the District of Columbia Housing Authority. There, she implemented a national award-winning model to house veterans experiencing homelessness, an issue near and dear to my heart. She increased home ownership opportunities by 50% for low and moderate income families served by the authority. She increased the number of affordable units available in neighborhoods experiencing rapid growth, something that DC has experienced unlike any other part of our country. And she oversaw a multitude of redevelopment efforts. She has prioritized repairs to housing units, services for youth, workforce development, and she commissioned the first DC-wide needs assessment of public housing residents. And she's still a proud resident of the district. Maybe we can entice you to come just over the border at one point, Madam Acting Secretary. She is a graduate of Smith College. Her career in public service began working for former Congressman Ron DeLugo, a long-serving member representing the U.S. Virgin Islands, where she was born and raised. That lifetime of service has shaped her belief that we have a responsibility to confront housing insecurity, to increase and preserve America's housing supply, to eliminate housing discrimination, and to support community resiliency, particularly following natural disasters. She's an incredible partner to the state of Maryland. She's a tireless advocate, and she's a leader on affordable housing. Please join me in welcoming Acting HUD Secretary Adrianne Todman.
Well. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for that warm and long introduction. I'm always one to say we've got to, the rest of my HUD team, cut that bio down. But thank you so much for acknowledging my previous experience. You know, this room, and you all are not a stranger to me. I have been here multiple times before. So when the invitation came to be able to address you as your acting secretary, of course I had to say yes. This is a room filled with the people I know are doing the heavy lift to make sure that we're providing housing for folks all across this county and across the state. Barbara, it is good to see you again. I know you keep the faith on these issues, and if we could match your energy with the needs we have for affordable housing, I know we would be able to get the job done. And it does take a village. It's great to see both congressmen here. Both of you are such champions to HUD's mission and to the people. It's an honor to be here with you and to share a stage. Thank you for your service. I also want to acknowledge all of today's awards winners. I may not be able to stay to see each of you cross the stage, but know that your work and your excellence are things that HUD relies upon. And I want to lift up my colleague and friend, Marvin Turner, who I know is smiling down on us today and would be so pleased to know that he remains associated with excellence in our housing industry, to his memory. You know, on Monday, I started my week in a similar room of housing practitioners in Las Vegas, Nevada. And it's great to have a week that's bookend with me ending it the same way, because as someone who has been in your shoes, understands what it takes to build this very complex thing that's called affordable housing, I know that HUD is only as good as the work that you all execute. So I honor you for that work. So it's important for me to be in the room, not just to share with you the things that HUD and the administration is doing, but to genuinely thank you for getting up every single day and making something so complex and difficult, taking it across the line. You know, housing is at the forefront of the national conversation like it's never been before. I don't have to say that to this room. And it's driven by little things like a recent graduate trying to find their first apartment, a couple looking to buy their first home, a homeless vet trying to navigate their life, economists who may be bemoaning the fact that housing is still a driver of inflation, and a mayor or congressperson who's trying to respond to the needs of their constituents. This administration has been centered around the needs of the American people as it relates to housing from day one. But day one looked very different from where we are now. Back then, we were really focused on making sure that people could stay in their homes. Remember that? People who were saying, I can't pay my rent, I don't know if I can afford my mortgage anymore. It was this administration that deployed $50 billion worth of rental assistance, thanks to the support of gentlemen right here, $50 billion worth of rental assistance to make sure that people could stay in their apartments. HUD alone helped 2 million homeowners able to stay in their homes, something that they worked so long for and probably felt slipping through their fingers. Day one for us looked very, very different than what it does today. Then along the way, we knew that we had to do more, and so the administration worked very, very closely with our friends on the Hill to have a historic housing investment to the tune of $150 billion to do all the things we know we needed to do, help the homeless, help first-time home buyers. We didn't get that across the line, but it did not stop this administration, our president, our vice president, from continuing to think about ways that we can act and meet this moment with the urgency that it deserves. And so President Biden's past 3 budgets have put historic levels of funding toward the things that I know you all need and the tools you need to address the needs of this county and the American people across the country. Things that will spur construction of homes so that costs will go down, to end homelessness, and to support home ownership. The president has made it abundantly clear that he is willing to use the full might of the federal government to improve the state of housing in this country, and that is actually not just a vision, but something that's in action. There's not too long ago, actually 2 years ago, all of the federal agencies that has housing equities came together and created a housing supply action plan. For those of you who are practitioners, I hope you've had a chance to look at it, because it's filled with different ways that we are working collaboratively across the federal government to braid our programs together to make it stronger. Part of that is deploying some of the President's American Rescue Plan funds in the home program, and right here in Montgomery County, you received $7.3 million from the President's American Rescue Plan. Some of that includes the fact that we've provided the state $37 million to help with community development funding to build affordable housing, help our unhoused neighbors, and again, to help our first-time home buyers. But there's also the way that our programs work, and I'm going to use my privilege here to speak a little bit in HUD Geek. I know this audience. I don't do this everywhere. I don't use the acronyms, but I know you can keep up with me. But it's also how our programs work. You know, for instance, FHA has been very busy providing new options for financing innovative housing choices like ADUs and modular homes. We've provided clarity on how HUD's programs can assist with commercial to residential conversions. This is a big one for you all. We're working to improve our processing for our 221D4s. Anybody? There you go. We've extended indefinitely our partnership with Treasury to continue our federal financing bank and HFA risk-sharing initiative. Some of you may recall that this was something that began in the Obama administration, and another administration that shall not be named pulled it down because that made lots of sense. And so we brought it back. And not only did we bring it back, when we saw we were headed toward the due date of this program, we took the bold step and said, no, we're going to do this indefinitely until we're able to help all the folks that we need to help. And so thank you all for using that program. And it's one of the reasons why I'm excited to share today that another beloved program of HUD, the HOME program, which is the largest federal grant program for affordable housing across the country, and I'll say to our two members here, can always use additional funds to make sure that we're building for the American people. But we also know sometimes it's a difficult program to use, and so we will very soon be providing new rules to modernize the program, proposed rules to modernize the program, and I really welcome your input as we do that. We know that this is a critical program to make sure that as we're building housing, which we are, this country, we have built 1.3 million units over the past 2 years of come online. So we know that we're building out there, but we're not always building for the need, and the HOME program is one that makes sure that we're building to our low and moderate income families who need affordable housing more than most. And we've assisted 45,000 households in the past 2 years by supporting affordable housing with the HOME program over the past couple years, and we consistently have heard that we need to do a better job with the program. So these rules, because I know my audience, these rules will do things like streamline and modernize project requirements around things like CHODOs and property standards for home buyer acquisition projects, small-scale rental housing projects, and community land trusts. And this is an opportunity for you to just collaborate with HUD and tell us ways that we can improve this really critical tool even more. Look, we know that we are making an impact. For instance, FHA, or first-time home buyer rate, under this administration is the highest that it's been in 20 years. Let me say that one more time. The first-time home buyer rate in the Biden-Harris administration is the highest that it's been in over 20 years. Over 2.5 million people have become first-time home buyers thanks to HUD's products. We've issued more vouchers thanks to funding from the partners who believe in housing on the Hill. We've been able to get net new vouchers, the most that we've received in 20 years. So we're able to help almost 200,000 Americans help pay their rent during very difficult times. These are tremendous achievements, but I know, and I know this room knows, that there is absolutely more to do, and it's one of the reasons why the President's 2025 budget proposed multi-billion-dollar fund that would give communities the tools they need to build more housing, including starter homes for the middle class, which we all know you know that we do need, and rental assistance that will end veterans' homelessness and help the youth that are aging out of foster care find some place that they can feel secure and adult. We also have a blueprint to provide folks who are the first in their family an opportunity to buy a home with $25,000 toward a down payment, and we're also looking to give families up to $400 a month to help with their mortgage. And we are very focused on making sure we are reducing the gap between demand and supply by